Hi, my name is Walter Deller. I'm the Director of Field Education, as well as the other teaching I do for the college. I wanted to say a bit about our field education program. It's an opportunity for students to experience ministry in a hands-on sort of way, not just as a kind of set of classroom propositions, but in real-life circumstances. It's also an opportunity for many students to experience parishes and congregations that are very different from those they may have grown up in or worshiped in most recently. Our program requires you to do 600 hours of contact time. And that's usually divided into two different phases. The first phase is usually about 120 hours. People often do it over the course of a term, and they do a placement in some congregation. Depending on where you're living and your situation, if you're a part-time student, some students do that in a parish where they may be ministering at present. That's not always ideal because part of the experience of field education is learning to build new relationships with people in a strange place, which is of course an important part of ministry anywhere. The second phase is a much more intense phase. It's 480 hours, and it's done in a variety of ways. Some students do it in a full term of full-time placement. More recently, a lot of students have been doing it over a longer period, 9 months, sometimes even a year, and they do it usually in one placement, and the preparation for it is much more elaborate. For both placements, you need to think about what it is you want to learn. They're about your learning goals, not just what the parish needs. Now, obviously, there's going to be some negotiation. But they are about you thinking about what it is that you need to learn, how you need to work on your own ministry skills and experience to strengthen yourself and prepare yourself. So at this point of orientation, in some ways, you don't really need to be in a big panic about your field education. But once I know that you're registered in the MDiv program from Sydney, I will enter you on a site that's called the Trinity Field Education site. And you'll receive an invitation. You should respond yes to the invitation because it gives you access to a Quercus course that has all the resources you will need to prepare yourself and move through the field education process. And it's very important that you use that site. There are places that are set out almost like assignment boxes where you can upload information. So for instance, as you begin to prepare for your internship, sometime probably after your first year of study, you'll need to do things like make sure that you have a current police record check for the vulnerable sector. And you need to let me know via Quercus. Some people upload a copy of the document. Some people just say what the date was when they had it. It's important for us to know that. It will be important for your parish and diocese or jurisdiction to know that. You're asked to simply account for the courses you've already taken so that we know that you've taken 10 courses and what they are. Because 10 courses is the prerequisite for doing your long placement, your internship placement. Later on, as you do assignments during your field placement, there are places to upload that, and all the requirements against which they're marked are there on that Quercus site. It's the most current version of the information about field education, and you should use it in preference to anything else you find online. One of the big things in preparing for field education last year was that a lot of people had to do their field education through online or primarily online placements. And that's been a bit of a challenge. I anticipate that this coming year, with parishes reopening in many jurisdictions, that people will be able to have more in-person first-hand experiences, but you may still have to do some of your work online, especially if you're in an upper year and about to move into an internship or a placement. In preparation for COVID last year, the University of Toronto required all students who were doing field placements in any discipline, including theology, to do a COVID preparation course. And once I have entered you onto the Field Ed website, I will also enter you onto that COVID preparation course, and you will need to work through that before you do any placements. If you are in an upper year and watching this and you have yet to do a placement, you still need to do that COVID preparation course. It will probably take you a couple of hours to work through, but it's helpful. There's a lot of useful stuff. Some of it we're pretty used to now, but there's still other things about putting on equipment that can be useful if your placement requires you to go into a hospital or something like that. Finally, the thing I want to emphasize is that the field education opportunities, as I said, are meant to be an opportunity for you to meet your learning goals. And while there are requirements that need to be met to receive the credits that are connected to them, there are also not a lot of super hard and fast rules about how you can do it. We've tried over the past 5 or 6 years to make this flexible and much more flexible for part-time students. We've also tried to tailor and make this field education program work in some different ways for Orthodox studies students who have quite different ministry settings often than Anglican students for a whole host of reasons. And for Orthodox students, I would say it's important that you are in touch with both me and Father Reddy. And usually at some point before you do your placements, we will often sit down, all three of us, and have a conversation about what the options for you might be, particularly as a number of Orthodox studies students are outside the Toronto area. What I hope is that your field education experience is a time of challenging but also exciting learning, that you meet some clergy and people who help you to grow, who help you develop ministry skills, who are honest with you but also supportive of your journey of learning, and that in the end you find yourself both with more skills but also with a growing sense of the way that God has called you to new forms of rich ministry in the life of the church. I look forward to working with you over the next few years in this process.